In 48 hours, Venus will kill us all, unless we breathe poison. That was the harsh truth echoing in every heart in our floating city. Every second counted, and every breath was a battle against a world built to destroy us. Here, high above a surface that burned with unrelenting heat and pressure, we clung to life among swirling clouds of sulfuric acid and carbon dioxide. Our home was no palace. It was a fragile assembly of metal domes and patched-up corridors, held together by grit, hope, and a stubborn refusal to accept defeat. We were the first humans to try living on Venus, a planet where the air itself was designed to choke you. Down below, the surface was a hostile inferno where nothing could survive. And even here, at 50 kilometers up, every moment was a struggle against nature's cruelty. Our oxygen came from Earth, a precious resource that dwindled with every passing day. Tanks leaked, life support systems failed, and the relentless acid seemed determined to seep into every crack of our sanctuary. It was a constant race against time, and every new day brought fresh challenges that threatened to snuff out the spark of life we fought so hard to preserve. But the center of this desperate fight was Dr. Alara Voss, a gentle but determined pulmonologist who had saved countless lives back on Earth. Here, she was our beacon of hope. Every day, she worked tirelessly in the cramped medical bay, trying to mend lungs that had been scarred by the toxic air. Her heart ached every time she looked at her daughter, a bright, brave little girl of only 10, whose small body bore the marks of an unrelenting enemy. The acid that filled our atmosphere had already started to damage her lungs, turning every breath into a painful struggle. Watching her daughter fight for every ounce of air, Alara made a silent vow that she would not let this be the end point one evening. While tending to her daughter under the dim glow of a flickering lamp, Alara noticed something she had never seen before. As she reviewed the scans of the child's lungs, a soft, unexpected green light shimmered across the damaged tissue. This was no ordinary anomaly. It was a sign that something unusual was happening deep inside those fragile lungs. The very tissue that should have been failing was showing signs of life, of adaptation. In that quiet, heart-wrenching moment, a wild idea began to form in her mind. If the lungs could somehow use the poison in the air to keep themselves alive, perhaps the very same process could be harnessed to save everyone. Alara began to gather a small team of scientists and engineers who were as desperate as she was to find a solution. They talked late into the night, poring over every detail and every test result, driven by the belief that nature might already hold the secret to our survival. Their plan was as bold as it was simple. Take the damaged lung tissue, combine it with special bacteria known to thrive in harsh, acidic environments, and let nature take its course. These hardy microbes, discovered in the most inhospitable corners of Earth, had the ability to break down dangerous chemicals and release oxygen as a byproduct. If they could survive in acid mine drainage and volcanic pools, then why not help our lungs breathe in an atmosphere meant to suffocate us? The laboratory they set up was nothing fancy, a cramped, noisy space filled with the hum of machines and the constant clatter of makeshift tools. Every test was a leap of faith. With cautious hope, the team introduced the modified bacteria into lung samples taken from colonists who were barely hanging on. Every result was met with both excitement and fear. Then, one day, when everyone was watching with bated breath, the damaged lung tissue began to glow with a vibrant, living green. That glow was not just a sign of activity. It was a signal that the bacteria were doing exactly what they were meant to do, breaking down the acid and releasing oxygen in return. It was a moment of pure, undeniable breakthrough. This discovery changed everything. For the first time, the air we breathed was not our enemy. It was slowly turning into our friend. The colonists, who had known only fear and the constant struggle for every breath, began to see a future where they could live without the constant threat of suffocation. The breakthrough gave us hope, a renewed sense of purpose. Every test, every trial, reinforced the idea that we could rewrite our own biology and force evolution to work in our favor. We were not going to wait for rescue from Earth or mercy from nature. We were taking our fate into our own hands. But even as we celebrated this new chance at life, challenges came from unexpected quarters. Down in the murky depths of Venus acid clouds, native life forms stirred. These beings were unlike anything we had ever encountered. They were not made of flesh or bone, but were ephemeral, almost ghost-like entities that drifted on the toxic winds. Their presence was eerie, and their silence was unnerving. At first, they simply observed us from a distance, as if studying our every move. But as our experiments grew bolder and our new method of breathing took hold, these native beings began to make their presence felt. One day, as the team prepared for a critical experiment, the lab was suddenly disrupted. Systems flickered, alarms blared, and equipment that had just moments before been humming along went dark. The attack wasn't violent in a conventional sense. It was as if an invisible force had swept through, shutting down our carefully planned experiment. The lab's data vanished, and several critical samples were lost. In the ensuing chaos, the whispering voices of the native beings seemed to fill the air, a chilling reminder that we were not the only ones trying to reshape life on Venus. "Your lungs are obsolete," they seemed to say in a tone that chilled us to the bone. "Leave Venus to those who truly belong." But Alara would not be intimidated. Standing before her team, she declared with fierce determination, "We don't need your air. We're going to steal it from the acid itself." Her words became a rallying cry that spread throughout the colony, igniting a fire in the hearts of everyone who heard them. In that moment, we all knew that our fight was not just for survival. It was for the very right to exist in a world that had once seemed determined to kill us. With the pressure mounting and oxygen supplies running dangerously low, a bold plan emerged. The team decided to take a huge risk. They would release the modified bacteria into the entire air system of our floating city. There was no turning back. If the experiment failed, we all would succumb to the poison around us. But if it succeeded, we would be free from the constant struggle for oxygen. The plan was simple in concept, yet its execution was nothing short of daring. Every colonist who had come to accept the slow death decided to join in. Vials filled with the glowing bacteria were carefully distributed among the maintenance teams. One by one, the colonists released the precious liquid into the air vents that ran through every part of our habitat. There was a moment of tense silence as we all waited for the outcome. Then, slowly, change began to occur. The thick, sulfuric acid clouds that had long painted our sky with shades of yellow and orange started to shift. Hints of green began to appear along the edges of the clouds, as if a new light was dawning in the midst of despair. At first, the change was so subtle that only the most watchful eyes noticed. But as the bacteria spread and multiplied, the transformation grew undeniable. The very air that had once brought us to our knees was turning into a life-giving substance. It was as if nature itself was being rewritten by our own hands. The new, green-tinged air filled our lungs. A collective sigh of relief swept through the colony. People who had known only fear and exhaustion suddenly found themselves breathing easier. They stepped out of their cramped quarters with cautious hope, looking upward to see a sky that was changing right before their eyes. This was not just a scientific breakthrough. It was a rebirth. We had taken a world that was meant to kill us and turned it into a home where we could live. We had, against all odds, become the masters of our own destiny. In the midst of our celebration, the native beings of Venus grew silent. They had watched our struggle with detached curiosity, their presence a constant reminder that we were intruders in a realm not meant for us. But now, their whispers of disapproval were fading into the background as our success spoke louder than any warning. The green light in our sky was proof that we could adapt and overcome. It was a sign that even in a place as hostile as Venus, the human spirit could find a way to thrive. Still, there was a lingering tension that none of us could shake off. Even as the colony began to stabilize and our lungs filled with the new, life-giving air, questions remained. What would happen next? Could this fragile balance last? And what other secrets did Venus hold, hidden beneath its toxic veil? In quiet moments, when the green glow of the sky mixed with the soft hum of our machines, we wondered if our victory would be short-lived, if nature would eventually reclaim its territory with a vengeance. One unforgettable night, as we gathered in the central hall of our floating city, an elder among the colonists spoke softly about the past. He recalled the early days of the colony, when hope was scarce and every breath was a struggle against the poison. His voice, filled with both sorrow and fierce determination, reminded us that every great achievement comes with sacrifice and risk. We had taken a giant leap by refusing to let Venus define our fate. And now he understood that every breath he took was a miracle born from the courage of those who came before him. His smile was a quiet promise that the future was bright, a future where we had not only survived, but thrived. Our story is a testament to the power of determination and the relentless human spirit. We took a planet that was built to kill us and turned it into a place where life could flourish. Every time I see that green glow in the sky, I am reminded of the courage it took to stand up to nature and rewrite the rules of survival. We are the oxygen thieves, the ones who stole life from the jaws of death and carved out a new destiny among the stars. In every shared breath, in every whispered hope, and every defiant shout against the darkness, we have proven that nothing is impossible. We did not ask for mercy from a planet that had only ever brought pain. Instead, we fought back with all our might, using our minds and our hearts to transform poison into life. And as we continue to build our future here on Venus, one thing is clear. Our journey has only just begun. Our lives now are filled with the same raw energy that sparked our first breakthrough. Every morning, as the greenish hue of the sky greets us, we remember that we are not bound by the limits of our past. We are a people who refuse to let nature dictate our fate. We took a stand, and with every small victory, we show the universe that the human spirit is a force to be reckoned with. In our floating city, there is no room for fear. There is only the will to survive, the drive to innovate, and the hope that each new day will bring us closer to a better future. We have transformed the very air we breathe, and in doing so, we have rewritten the story of what it means to be human on Venus. This is not a fairy tale with a neatly wrapped ending. It is a journey, a story that is still being written with every bold act, every daring experiment, and every shared moment of triumph over adversity. We are the oxygen thieves, and our story is one of hope, resilience, and the unbreakable bond that connects all of us in our fight for survival. And so, as our floating city continues to drift among the green-tinged clouds of Venus, our hearts remain steadfast. We have stolen the air that was meant to be our downfall, and in doing so, we have taken back what nature had deemed impossible. Our lives, our struggles, and our dreams are all a part of this grand adventure. A living proof that when we stand together, no challenge is too great. We keep moving forward, one breath at a time, driven by the knowledge that every moment counts and that our courage can light the way through even the darkest storms. Our journey on Venus is far from over, but each new day brings us closer to a future where our triumph over this hostile world is just the beginning of something even greater. There's a quiet strength in knowing that we dare to defy a world designed to break us, and there is even greater strength in the knowledge that we did it together. Our floating city, our transformed skies, and every breath we take are proof that nothing can stop a determined human spirit. And as we continue to push forward, we do so with the understanding that our story, this incredible, unyielding story of survival, will inspire generations to come. That we are the oxygen thieves. We have taken what was once impossible and turned it into the very air we breathe. And while our journey is still unfolding, each day, every step, and every breath is a reminder that the future is ours to shape. Our struggle on Venus is a living testament to the power of hope, unity, and the relentless drive to overcome any obstacle we may have started as desperate colonists clinging to a fragile life in a toxic world. But now, we stand as a symbol of human resilience, a reminder that even when the odds are against us, we can rise, adapt, and flourish. This is our story, and it is far from finished.